There's a moment in every man's life when his instinct screams to defend himself, to fire back at disrespect, to prove his worth, to demand recognition. But the masters of self-control, from Marcus Aurelius to Epictetus, knew a different truth. Silence can be the most devastating response. Not because you're weak, but because you've risen above the level of the insult. The man who learns when to hold his tongue doesn't just avoid useless battles. He commands a quiet power that others feel in their bones. And here's the twist most people miss. Staying silent isn't passive. It's active discipline. It's saying, my energy is too valuable to waste on noise. I'll let the universe and time do the teaching. Today, we're going to talk about the 7 moments when silence becomes your sharpest sword. These aren't abstract philosophies. I'll give you real examples, the kind that hit close to home. And by the end, you'll know exactly when to step back and let karma finish the job for you. Part 1. When disrespect knocks at your door. A few years ago, I had a buddy named Mark who worked in a mid-sized marketing firm in Chicago. Smart guy, dependable, the kind of coworker you could actually count on. But there was this one guy in his office, let's call him Todd, who had a talent for slipping little insults into conversations. At meetings, Todd would say things like, "Well, maybe Mark's approach works if you like doing things the slow way," and chuckle, while others awkwardly look down at their notepads. It wasn't full-blown aggression. It was those subtle jabs meant to chip away at someone's confidence, while making it seem like just a joke. Now the old Mark, the Mark I knew from years back, would have fired right back with a sharp comment, or maybe even raised his voice to put Todd in his place. But this time he tried something different. Instead of reacting, he kept his cool. He didn't force a laugh and he didn't lash out. After each jab, he simply continued with his point, calm and steady. But here's the important part. He started keeping a quiet record. Dates, situations, exact words. Months went by, and while Mark stayed composed, Todd got comfortable. Too comfortable. His little comments became more frequent and more obvious. Eventually, HR got wind of it. Not because Mark complained, but because others in the office noticed the pattern and spoke up. When HR looked into it, Mark's careful notes sealed the case. Todd's credibility sank, and his influence in the office evaporated. This story hits on a fundamental Stoic truth. When disrespect knocks at your door, you don't have to open it. And you certainly don't have to invite it in for coffee. In America, we're raised on the idea of standing up for ourselves. And don't get me wrong, there's a place for that. But too often, standing up gets confused with reacting emotionally in the heat of the moment. The Stoics understood that reacting instantly to disrespect often plays right into the other person's hands. It's like trying to wrestle a pig. You both get dirty, but the pig enjoys it. Here's the thing. Disrespect comes in different forms. It can be loud and obvious, someone cursing at you in traffic, or quiet and calculated, like a backhanded compliment from a colleague. And here's where most people go wrong. They treat all disrespect as if it needs an immediate counterpunch. The problem with that approach is that it puts you on the same level as the person who disrespected you. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." In practical terms, that means the way you handle disrespect says more about you than about them. If your sense of worth can be rattled by a snide remark, you've just handed over the keys to your emotional state. And once they know how to push that button, they'll push it again, because it works. This is why the Stoic approach works so well. Recognize the disrespect, but don't fuel it. There's power in calm acknowledgement without emotional escalation. You're not ignoring it. You're refusing to give it oxygen. But let me be clear. Staying silent doesn't mean tolerating abuse. The Stoic approach is about measured response. If a pattern emerges, you address it with facts, not feelings. Just like Mark did. Keep a record. Let their behavior build the case against them, and act when the time is right. This way, your action is deliberate, not impulsive.
And here's why this works in an American workplace, a sports team, even a family barbecue. In our culture, people watch how you respond under pressure. The guy who keeps his cool while others lose theirs automatically gains respect. It's the quarterback who, after getting sacked, gets up, brushes himself off, and calls the next play without a word. People notice that.
Another layer to this is self-respect. When you choose not to reward disrespect with attention, you send a silent but clear message. I value myself too much to entertain this nonsense. That's a boundary, and boundaries teach people how to treat you. Now some might say, but won't they think I'm weak if I don't fire back? That's the ego talking. True strength isn't about matching someone's volume. It's about making sure their noise doesn't knock you off your center. Think about the leaders you've admired. They don't jump into every skirmish. They pick their battles, and when they do act, it's decisive and impossible to misinterpret. Here's a little mental exercise the next time disrespect comes your way. Pause for 3 seconds. Give your brain space to choose instead of react. Check the source. Is this someone whose opinion truly impacts your life, or just background static? Decide the outcome. Will engaging improve the situation, or simply feed it? 9 times out of 10, silence paired with consistent action will outlast any insult. That 10th time? That's when you speak up, but with precision, not with heat. By the way, this doesn't just apply to office politics. It's true at home, with friends, even with strangers online. Ever notice how trolls on social media vanish when ignored? They thrive on reaction. Without it, they wither. So here's your Stoic challenge. The next time disrespect knocks, don't rush to open the door. Stand there, steady, and decide whether it's worth letting that energy into your space. Remember, every reaction is an investment, and you only have so much to spend. And just like Mark in our opening story, you might find that the less you fight to prove yourself, the more others see you for who you really are. Stoic lesson. If you jump to defend yourself every time someone pokes at your dignity, you've already lost. Hold the line. Let your consistency, not your volume, do the talking. Part 2. When chaos wants a reaction. A few summers ago, I was at a friend's backyard barbecue in Austin. The kind of relaxed afternoon where the grill's going, music's playing, kids are running around. Everyone's having a good time. Until one guy, a cousin of the host, decided he wanted to stir things up. He started needling people with little comments, questioning a guy's career choice, joking about someone's weight, hinting at old family drama. It was obvious what he was doing, fishing for a reaction. And he got them. One by one, people took the bait. Voices rose, laughter turned awkward, and the vibe shifted from friendly to tense. Then he turned to me. So, you still talking about writing that book? Or is it just another one of your big ideas that never happens? Now, years ago, I would have launched into a defense. I would have listed my progress, my plans, maybe even thrown a jab back. But instead, I just smiled, took a slow sip of my drink, and said, "We'll see." Then I turned to the guy next to me and asked about his new puppy. Within seconds, the instigator moved on. He wanted to rattle me, but I didn't give him the satisfaction. That's the essence of this principle. Chaos only grows when you feed it. The Stoics were masters at recognizing when a situation was designed to throw them off balance. Epictetus taught that it's not the event itself that disturbs us, but our opinion about it. In other words, the chaos isn't in the barbecue or the workplace or the relationship. It's in how quickly we surrender our focus to someone else's agenda. In American culture, we're surrounded by situations engineered to provoke a reaction. The coworker who drops bad news right before your big presentation. The driver who cuts you off and flips you the bird. The ex who texts something vague just to pull you back into the drama. The untrained mind jumps in immediately. The trained mind asks, "Do I need to engage?" Here's the truth. When chaos shows up, it's almost never about you. People who stir up trouble are often running from their own boredom, frustration, or insecurity. They're looking for someone to join their storm, so they don't have to sit in it alone. And if you match their energy, you become part of the storm. Think about it like this. You're walking through the grocery store and see a toddler in full meltdown mode in aisle 5. Do you drop to the floor and start crying with them? Of course not. You understand it's not your tantrum to manage. Yet, when adults throw emotional tantrums, through sarcasm, passive aggression, or manufactured conflict, we often rush in as if it's our job to fix or defend. The Stoic way is different. You don't ignore it completely. You acknowledge it without absorbing it. You set the pace instead of letting them set it for you. I've learned this most clearly in relationships. I once dated a woman who, every time we had plans, would create some small drama an hour before we met. A disagreement about where to go, a sudden coldness over something trivial. At first, I'd drop everything to resolve it, thinking that was the loving thing to do. But what I was really doing was teaching her that she could control my mood with hers. When I finally started responding differently, staying calm, keeping my voice even, and not rearranging my life around her temporary storms, something changed. She either adapted to my pace or the drama fizzled out. And in the cases where people don't adapt, that's valuable information too. It tells you exactly who belongs in your circle. The key is this. Your reaction is a choice, not a reflex. You can feel the emotion, the spike of adrenaline, the heat rising in your chest, and still decide to hold steady. A practical approach I use looks like this. Pause before responding. Even 5 seconds can turn an impulsive reaction into a measured choice. Check the cost. Ask yourself, if I engage, will this improve the situation or just feed it? Stay grounded in your tone and body language. Calmness isn't just about what you say. It's about the energy you radiate. When you refuse to be pulled into chaos, you send a silent but powerful message. I'm not here to play your game. If you want my attention, it'll be on my terms. That's not arrogance, it's self-respect. And here's the part people underestimate. Calmness can be disarming. When someone tries to provoke you and you stay steady, it forces them to deal with their own discomfort. They have to sit in the silence they were trying to avoid. And sometimes, that silence teaches them more than any clever comeback could. We live in a culture where the loudest voices get the spotlight. But in the long game, it's the steady ones who keep their influence. The people who don't flinch under pressure become anchors for everyone else in the room. So the next time chaos comes knocking, whether it's a barbecue troublemaker, a passive-aggressive email, or a heated social media comment, remember this. You can't control the storm, but you can control whether you step into it. Stoic lesson. When chaos wants a reaction, don't match its speed. Slow it down. Let the storm wear itself out while you stay rooted in calm. Part 3. When you're tempted to overshare. A few years back, I had a college friend named Kevin. Good guy. Thoughtful, honest, and the kind of friend who'd help you move at 2 a.m. without asking questions. But Kevin had one habit that was quietly sabotaging his dating life. he overshared. I remember when he met a woman he really liked. On their second date, over dinner at a little Italian place, Kevin unloaded his entire life story. The messy breakup with his ex, his struggles with debt, how he sometimes felt like a failure compared to his siblings. He was being authentic, but he was also unknowingly handing over every page of his emotional journal before she'd even decided if she wanted to keep reading. For the next few weeks, things seemed fine, until she stopped returning his calls. When he finally asked why, she said, "You're a great guy, but I feel like I already know everything. There's nothing left to discover." That stung. But it was also telling. In American culture, especially with all the be vulnerable talk we hear in self-help spaces, there's this idea that the more you share, the more people will connect with you. And yes, openness has its place. But Stoicism teaches that self-control applies not only to our reactions, but to our revelations. The disciplined man knows what to share, when to share it, and with whom. Here's the problem with oversharing. It can shift the dynamic too quickly. In relationships, whether romantic, professional, or even friendships, part of the connection is built on curiosity. People want to uncover your layers over time, not get the entire blueprint in one sitting. It's the difference between savoring a great TV series and having someone hand you the final episode spoiler before you've even started. And it's not just about romance. I've seen job interviews go sideways because a candidate felt the need to fill every silence with personal details, things that had nothing to do with the role. Or a casual acquaintance turning into an awkward relationship because someone went deep into their personal trauma within the first hour of meeting. The Stoics valued a certain reserve, not coldness, but a purposeful holding back. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have." That applies to people's opinions, too. The more you overshare, the more power you give others over how they see you. When you keep a measured amount of mystery, you're not being dishonest. You're preserving your center. You're allowing trust to build naturally instead of dumping it all on the table in hopes of fast-tracking closeness. Think about the people you respect most. Chances are they're not the ones constantly narrating every doubt and fear they have. They may confide in the right people at the right time, but they carry themselves with a quiet self-sufficiency. That's magnetic. Here's the key difference. Strategic vulnerability is sharing enough to be human, but not so much that you put your emotional stability in someone else's hands. Emotional dumping is handing someone a backpack full of your struggles and expecting them to carry it for you. One of my mentors once told me, "Let people earn your depth." At first, I thought it sounded guarded, but over time, I realized he was right. When people have to earn access to your personal world, they value it more. They respect it. So how do you stop oversharing without becoming closed off? Here's what's worked for me. Pause before personal details. Ask yourself, does this person need to know this right now? Match the level of openness. If someone's sharing light details, don't dive into your deepest fears. Keep the conversation balanced. Let silence breathe. You don't have to fill every gap in conversation with more about yourself. There's also a deeper psychological piece here. Many of us overshare because we're chasing reassurance. We think if we lay it all out, someone will tell us we're okay. But here's the Stoic truth. The reassurance that lasts has to come from within. If you need external validation for every vulnerability, you'll always be chasing the next person's approval. Kevin eventually learned this. The next time he dated someone, he slowed down. Instead of handing over his life story, he shared just enough to be genuine and let the rest unfold naturally. The relationship lasted far longer, not because he was hiding, but because he allowed attraction, trust, and respect to grow side by side. And there's a side benefit. When you stop oversharing, you also stop giving people ammunition. Not everyone you meet will have your best interests at heart. The less unnecessary personal information you give away, the less someone can twist it, gossip about it, or use it to undermine you. At the core, this is about self-respect. You are not obligated to make your inner world public property. Your thoughts, your struggles, your dreams, they're yours. Share them with people who've earned that right, not with every passerby who asks, "So, how are you?" Stoic lesson. Your story is valuable. Treat it like a treasure chest, not a clearance sale. The right people will work to unlock it, and that journey is part of what keeps respect and connection alive. Part 4. When they're testing your emotional triggers. Behind a few years ago, I had a friend named Brian who worked as a project manager in a competitive tech company. One afternoon, during a team meeting, his boss casually said, "Well, I'm not sure Brian's approach is practical, but maybe it'll surprise us." The room went quiet. Everyone glanced at Brian, waiting for the counterattack, a defensive explanation, maybe a sarcastic jab. And here's the thing. Brian felt that familiar surge of heat in his chest. He told me later that a dozen comebacks ran through his head in that moment. But instead of reacting, he simply nodded and said, "Let's see how it plays out," then moved on. Later that week, his idea ended up working, better than expected. His boss had to acknowledge it publicly. The contrast was clear. If Brian had blown up in that moment, the focus would have been on his outburst. Because he stayed calm, the focus stayed on the result. That's the Stoic way of handling emotional triggers. See, in American culture, emotional reactivity is almost the default setting. We honk in traffic, fire off angry emails, clap back on social media, all within seconds of feeling provoked. The problem is, when someone can pull a reaction out of you on demand, they own you in that moment. They set the terms. The Stoics taught that the gap between stimulus and response is where your power lives. Epictetus put it plainly: if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. In other words, they didn't take your calm, you gave it away. Here's why this matters. People test your emotional stability all the time, consciously or unconsciously. A partner might bring up a sensitive subject just to see if you'll lose composure. A coworker might joke about a past mistake to gauge your confidence. Even strangers might try to provoke you. The impatient customer in line, the guy at the bar trying to get a rise out of you. The real test isn't about the comment or the action. It's about whether you can hold your frame. When you stay steady, you're telling the world, "I choose when and how I respond. Nobody else does." But this isn't about pretending you don't feel anything. Stoicism isn't emotional numbness, it's emotional mastery. You still feel the surge, but instead of letting it grab the steering wheel, you sit with it. You breathe. You choose your move. Here's a simple practice I use. Notice the trigger. Feel your pulse spike, muscles tighten? That's the signal. Pause. Even 2 seconds is enough. This breaks the autopilot reaction. Ask, what response will serve me long term? Not just right now, but in the bigger picture. A few years back, I was negotiating a contract. The other side threw in a last-minute demand they knew I wouldn't like. My first instinct was to say, "Absolutely not," in a sharp tone. Instead, I leaned back, stayed silent for a moment, and then calmly asked, "What's the reasoning behind that change?" That one pause shifted the tone. They backed off, and I left with a better deal than I'd expected. That's the power of mastering your triggers. You stop playing their game and start running your own. It's also worth noting that people respect stability. In relationships, when someone sees you can remain grounded during tense moments, it creates trust. It says, I'm not going to fall apart just because things get uncomfortable. On the flip side, if you're quick to snap, defend, or explode, people learn they can control you by poking the right spots. That's a dangerous place to live. Another layer here is self-awareness. Sometimes, the same situations keep triggering us because we've never addressed the root cause. If criticism about your work always sets you off, maybe it's tied to an old insecurity about competence. If being ignored makes you furious, maybe it's connected to past experiences of feeling invisible. The more you know your own weak spots, the less others can weaponize them. I once heard a retired Navy SEAL say, "Calm is contagious." It's true. In a crisis, the calmest person becomes the anchor everyone else orbits around. That's why the military trains soldiers to slow their breathing under fire. Your mind works better when your emotions aren't running the show. So here's the challenge. The next time someone tests you, whether it's a sideways comment, a loaded question, or an intentional snub, don't give them the reaction they're fishing for. Let the moment breathe. Let them sit in the silence. Decide on your terms if, when, and how you'll respond. Over time, this shifts how people approach you. The ones who thrive on drama will drift away because you're not feeding them. The ones who value strength will lean in because they can feel you're operating from a deeper place. Stoic lesson. If someone can trigger you at will, they control you. Master the pause, own your frame, and make your reactions a conscious choice, not a reflex. Part 5. When a situation no longer serves you. A few years ago, I met a guy named Alan at a conference in Denver. He'd been working at the same architecture firm for over 15 years. On paper, it looked stable. Good salary, comfortable routine, nice benefits. But over coffee, he admitted something. I hate going in every day. The leadership's changed, the projects don't inspire me anymore, and I feel like I'm just keeping my seat warm until retirement. So I asked him, "Why don't you move on?" He sighed. Because it's not that bad, and starting over feels terrifying. That phrase, "it's not that bad," is how countless people end up stuck in situations that quietly drain their soul. Whether it's a job, a relationship, or a social circle, we tell ourselves it's fine, all while ignoring that we're shrinking inside it. Stoicism doesn't romanticize staying for the sake of comfort. In fact, one of its core teachings is that we must be willing to walk away from anything that compromises our values or our peace. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Staying somewhere that chips away at your spirit is one of the most effective ways to waste it. In American culture, we are often told that quitting is failure, that perseverance is always noble. But the Stoics made a distinction. Perseverance in pursuit of virtue is strength. Perseverance in something that corrodes your character is stubbornness. The problem is, the longer we stay in a bad fit, the more normal it feels. You stop noticing the daily compromises. You make little trades. Your time for a paycheck. Your self-respect for a relationship that's comfortable. Your energy for a friendship that's mostly obligation. And over time, these trades become habits. I've seen this in relationships, too. A buddy of mine, Jason, stayed with a girlfriend for years, even though he felt unappreciated and unsupported. He'd say, well, it's not abusive, and we have history. But every year he stayed, he laughed less, took fewer risks, and seemed less like himself. When he finally ended it, his friends noticed the difference within weeks. His posture changed. His energy came back. Here's the Stoic perspective. If something is costing your peace, it's already too expensive. That doesn't mean you leave at the first sign of discomfort. Growth often requires pushing through difficulty. But there's a difference between temporary challenge and chronic erosion. The Stoic asks, is this shaping me into who I want to be, or is it wearing me down into someone I don't recognize? The willingness to walk away isn't about coldness. It's about loyalty to your highest self. And ironically, it makes you more attractive in every arena. People sense when you're staying because you choose to, not because you're trapped. That confidence is magnetic. So how do you know it's time to leave? Here are a few signs. Your values are consistently compromised. If you're repeatedly asked to do things that go against your principles, no amount of pay or affection is worth the cost. You dread it more than you enjoy it. Every job, relationship, or commitment has ups and downs. But when the dread outweighs the joy over months or years, it's a signal you've stopped growing. If you've been stagnant for a long time and there's no sign of change, you're not just stuck, you're regressing. You're staying purely out of fear, whether it's fear of being alone, starting over, or losing comfort. Fear-based decisions rarely lead to fulfillment. When you leave something that no longer serves you, two things happen. First, you reclaim your energy. The mental and emotional load you were carrying suddenly feels lighter. Second, you create space. Space for opportunities, relationships, and growth that couldn't fit into the crowded room of your old life. I've experienced this personally. Years ago, I walked away from a side business I'd built for nearly a decade. It had been my pride and joy at one point, but it started demanding more compromise than it was worth. The day I closed it, I felt a strange mix of grief and relief. And within 6 months, I had launched a new project that felt more aligned with my purpose than anything I'd done before. That never would have happened if I'd clung to the old just because it was familiar. The Stoics would tell you that detachment is freedom. When you're willing to lose something, it loses its power to control you. And when you let go of what no longer serves you, you make a clear statement. I trust myself to build something better. So here's the challenge. Take an honest inventory. Look at your job, your relationships, your routines. Ask yourself, if I were starting from scratch today, would I choose this? Stoic lesson. Comfort can be a slow poison. If something is costing your peace, it's already too expensive. Walking away isn't failure. It's self-respect in motion. Part 6. When gossip circles around you. A few years ago, I was living in a small coastal town in Oregon, the kind of place where everybody knows everybody, and news travels faster than the morning tide. One afternoon, a neighbor pulled me aside and said, "Hey, just so you know, your name came up at the community meeting last night. A few people were saying you backed out of the local project because you didn't care about the town." It wasn't true. I'd stepped back from that project because my business was going through a critical growth phase, and I couldn't commit the hours. But in that moment, I felt the urge rise up to defend myself, to send emails clarifying my side, to set the record straight with anyone who might have overheard. Instead, I took a breath and decided not to chase the story. I kept showing up in the community the same way I always had, volunteering at events, helping my elderly neighbor with her groceries, picking up trash along the beach trail on Saturday mornings. I let my actions keep speaking. Here's what happened. Within a month, the gossip burned itself out. Not because I proved my innocence with words, but because my consistency overpowered the rumor. People could see the truth for themselves. That's the Stoic approach to gossip. In our culture, especially in America, with its social media echo chambers, gossip moves like wildfire, and the first instinct for most people is to try and put it out by chasing every spark. But the Stoics knew that the more you feed gossip with defensive energy, the more oxygen you give it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." When we let gossip pull us into reaction, we're treating other people's opinions as if they hold the power to define us. The truth is, they don't, unless we hand them that power. The hard part? Gossip feels personal because it is personal. It's your reputation, your name, being handled carelessly. But here's the counterintuitive truth. The more you try to control the narrative, the more you look like you have something to hide. Silence, paired with steady character, sends a much stronger message than frantic explanation ever will. I've seen this play out in the workplace. A colleague of mine once found out that another employee had been telling people he wasn't pulling his weight on a project. Instead of firing off angry Slack messages or cornering the guy in the break room, he doubled down on delivering exceptional work. On time, every time. Within weeks, the narrative flipped. The gossip lost traction because it didn't match reality. This doesn't mean you never address lies. If gossip directly threatens your ability to do your work or causes measurable harm, it can be worth addressing through the right channels: HR, legal, or a calm, direct conversation. But for most gossip, the Stoic approach is simple. Starve it. Here's why this works. Gossip thrives on reaction. When you don't react, it loses entertainment value. Time reveals consistency. People eventually notice when reality doesn't match the rumor. You preserve your peace. Instead of running around trying to fix every false impression, you invest your energy in living well. One of my favorite examples comes from sports. A well-known NFL quarterback once faced a media frenzy over a rumor about locker room drama. When reporters swarmed him after practice, expecting a defensive rant, he just smiled and said, "We're focused on Sunday." Then he walked off the field. His team went on to win that week. The story died. The lesson? A short, calm dismissal, paired with proof in performance, works better than a 3-paragraph rebuttal. There's also a deeper benefit. Learning to live unaffected by gossip builds resilience. When you stop letting rumors dictate your mood or your actions, you become harder to shake in every area of life. The people who matter, the ones whose respect you truly value, will see your integrity over time. The rest? Their opinions are just background noise. If you're struggling with gossip right now, here's a Stoic exercise. Ask yourself who the source is. Is this someone whose opinion would alter the course of your life? If not, why give them rent-free space in your head? Check your consistency. Are your actions aligned with the truth you want people to see? If not, adjust them. Let time do its work. Like muddy water, gossip clears when you stop stirring it. When people talk behind your back, they're really revealing more about themselves than about you. They're showing you their priorities, their insecurities, and sometimes their envy. The Stoic doesn't waste energy trying to fix that. He stays focused on his own path. Stoic lesson. You don't clear your name by chasing every rumor. You clear it by living in a way that makes the rumor impossible to believe. Part 7. When you're pulled into petty competition. A few years ago, I joined a local community gym. It wasn't anything fancy. A mix of weightlifters, weekend warriors, and people just trying to stay in shape. There was one guy there, though, who turned every workout into an unspoken contest. If I was doing bench press, he'd suddenly load his bar heavier. If I ran 2 miles, he'd make sure to run 2.5, loud enough to announce it to anyone within earshot. One day, I finished a solid workout and was stretching when he walked by and said, "You know, if you really pushed yourself, you could keep up with me." I felt that little spark in my chest, the urge to get back under the bar, to prove I could outlift him. But then I stopped myself and thought, why? I didn't come to the gym to compete with him. I came to train for my own health, my own goals. Jumping into his game wouldn't make me stronger, it would just make me reactive. So I smiled and said, "Good work today," then walked out. That's the Stoic move when petty competition tries to drag you in. Refuse to play a game that doesn't matter. In America, we're surrounded by subtle scoreboards. Nicer cars, bigger houses, more Instagram likes, flashier vacations. Some competition is healthy. It can push you to grow, to refine your skills, to aim higher. But petty competition is different. It's not about progress, it's about ego. It's about winning in someone else's game, often at the cost of your own focus. The Stoics knew that the only competition worth engaging in is with yourself. To be a better, wiser, calmer version of who you were yesterday. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In other words, don't get hooked by the need to prove yourself to others. Petty competition has a few telltale signs. The one-up game. Someone shares an accomplishment, and instead of celebrating them, you feel the need to top it. Moving the goalposts. Even if you win, the other person changes the rules, so you have to keep proving yourself. Draining energy. The competition isn't inspiring you, it's exhausting you. I once worked with a colleague who turned every project into a personal contest. If I had a good idea in a meeting, he'd find a way to one-up it, even if it meant derailing the project's real purpose. At first, I took the bait, worked longer hours, pushed for better ideas, trying to outdo him. But the truth was, our client didn't care who had the better idea. They just wanted a solution that worked. When I stopped treating him as a rival and just focused on delivering value, two things happened. The quality of my work improved, and his antics started looking petty to everyone else. Here's the Stoic truth. Engaging in petty competition gives away your direction. You end up chasing someone else's benchmarks instead of pursuing your own. And often, the person you're trying to beat isn't even thinking about you. They're just acting out their own insecurities. A better approach is to ask yourself, is this competition aligned with my values and long-term goals? If it is, use it as fuel. If it's not, let it go. The Stoic doesn't need to win every game. He chooses which games are worth playing. Here's a simple framework for when you feel pulled into pointless competition. Identify the arena. Is this your arena, or did someone else drag you into theirs? Check your motives. Are you aiming for genuine growth or just proving a point? Decide deliberately. If the win doesn't actually move you closer to your personal vision, it's not worth your time. This applies in personal relationships too. I've seen couples get caught in subtle competitions. Who earns more? Who does more chores? Who gets more attention from friends? That mindset slowly erodes connection because instead of being teammates, your opponent's keeping score. In those moments, choosing to step out of the game is choosing the relationship over the ego. Petty competition can also be addictive. Win once, and you feel a little dopamine hit. But the bar keeps moving. There's always someone faster, richer, stronger, better looking. Chasing that is like running on a treadmill that never stops. You're exhausted, but you're still in the same place. The Stoic alternative is simple. Measure yourself against your own past. Ask, am I living more in line with my values today than I was a year ago? That's a scoreboard worth watching. And here's the beauty. When you live this way, the right kind of competition finds you. You attract people who push you to grow, not people who drain you with endless ego games. So the next time someone tries to drag you into a meaningless contest, whether it's lifting more weight, telling a bigger story, or flashing a bigger paycheck, remember, not every game deserves a player. Sometimes the most powerful move is a smile, a nod, and walking away to focus on your own mission. Stoic lesson. The only competition worth winning is with your past self. Let petty games die from lack of participation, and invest your energy in the battles that truly build you.